So continue with sociology. Now we're going to how sociologists explain deviance and non-conformity, including references to subculture, under-socialization, marginalization, cultural deprivation, and social resistance. So we start with subcultures. We talk about subcultures, we're talking about cultures inside a whole culture. So within complex societies, there will be more than one single value system. There will be groups which have different. So for subcultures, within complex societies, there will be more than one single value system. There will be groups which have different values. That's subculture, which is culture inside a culture. In Western societies, some sociologists have argued that working class subcultures are very different from the wider culture. Some of the features of working class subcultures have been seen as being one, trouble, the willingness to accept that life involves conflict and to get involved in fights. So for the working class subculture, because there are always going to be revolts, there's always going to be a revolution against the ruling class. So revolution, and whenever we talk about revolution, it involves trouble, it involves conflict. So it is part of the culture. So it is part of the working class subculture that there should be chaos, there should be trouble, there should be revolts. Willingness to accept that life involves conflict and to get involved in fights. Toughness, demonstrating maleness through physical strength, drinking, and so on. So part of working class subculture is to come out tough, being tough. And being tough is associated with males. You get it? Another one is smartness. Status among peers involve dressing as well as possible. So dressing smart, like looking good. Excitement, as work is repetitive, fun and enjoyment are highly valued. So you should also smile, put a smile in your face, no matter what the condition. Faith, believing there is a little that can be done to influence their lives. So it's part of working culture based on the ideology of the capitalist. They make working class to understand that their failure is as a result of who they are. So that means there's nothing they could do to influence their situation. That is what faith is here. So they accepted it. Autonomy, dislike of authority of anyone trying to tell them what to do. It's part of the working class. They want that autonomy, but they don't. They can't even get it anyway because the mindset is still the capitalist ruling the society. So Miller suggests that these are normal features of working class subculture that brings young working class male into conflict with wider society. Their choices of leisure activities lead to involvement in gangs and conflict with authority in the form of the police. So the behavior of these young men seems to be an example of non-conformity. But the working class youths are in fact conforming as their subcultural values. In that sense, they are not deviant. So if we have to go through violence, we have to go through trouble, we don't have to accept. We want autonomy. All these things will bring about conflict and they are non-conformity. So that's the point there. But they said other groups of young people that are part of youth subculture, but they are not. Now we're not going to talk about the working class. We're talking about youth subculture. So they value their system and they conform. But when you look at this, it's still the capitalist ideology. Marx is feeling that the youth subculture or the working class subculture is based on this ideology. So we go to under socialization. I think subculture is clear here. So under socialization, when we talk about under socialization here, we're talking about like the feral child also, or not being able to integrate well into the society. Another explanation for deviance is that socialization has been partially or unsuccessful. During primary socialization, individuals internalize the norms and values of their family and then on the wider society. There will not always be complete agreement between the family's values and those of wider society. An individual may be socialized in a family where some deviance is tolerated or approved. Even criminal families, yes. Alternatively, the family may fail to socialize a child adequately, perhaps through lack of care or inability to devote time. The child may not completely internalize moral values. And I told you the other time that school rules, I'm not seeing it as coercive, I'm seeing it as moral. And when we talk about moral here, we're talking about the principle to know what is right or wrong. So that's the same thing they're talking about here. So the child may not completely internalize moral values, learning the difference between right and wrong anyway, or may not develop the ability to judge what behavior is appropriate in different situations. So yeah, under socialization will happen either mostly through the primary socialization. The parents are not there, they don't have time to take care of the child. The child is not being integrated to the rules and the norms of the society. The child comes from a family that do not care about deviant. They don't care about non-conformity. They see it as no big deal. So these things will put the guy. This thing will be, the child will be able to pass this thing across to how he behaves or she behaves in the society. So another reason why there's non-conformity or deviant is because the child is under-socialized. So then this is when the functionalists come into place. They say, okay, yeah, the child might be under-socialized, but the school is a place that could also reform or put the child into order. Do you understand? So things you think are normal at home, the school will tell you, no, it's not like this, no, it's not like that. So that under-socialization you have can be completed if that child is really willing to, to conform with school rules. So that is about under-socialization. I think it's clear. So we go to marginalization. Some individuals and groups are pushed to the fringe of societies, both economically and politically. In the UK, the term marginalization has been applied particularly to working class youths in inner city areas. These areas lack resources and facilities. The schools may not be good and there are few jobs opportunity. The concern of young people have not been taken seriously by the authorities. They have no politicians to speak on their behalf. With high rates of unemployment, they can feel that they have no future. This weakens the hold of the dominant value system or ideology over them because they do not feel that society is doing anything for them. They may develop subculture that expresses resistance or turn to form deviances such as drug taking or minor crimes. So another reason why there's still conformity, there's no non-conformity or deviant is because those youths are marginalized. They are not exposed to the basic amenities. They don't have good education, they don't have infrastructure. So they felt they are being rejected by the society. The society is not doing anything for them. So what can they do? They just have to find a way to resist. And resistance will come through drug, crimes, violence, and the rest. Vandalization. So this is the way to, to put their grievance, to make their grievance known to the authority. So they do it that way, and that is non-conformity. So whatever they have done based on marginalization is non-conformity. So that's the point there. I think it's clear. They go to cultural deprivation, which is also part of reasons why there's non-conformity. A further argument suggests that some groups in society lack the attitudes and values which would allow them to be successful. For example, by obtaining qualifications and being upwardly socially mobile. For example, the working class. Having a different set of values from those that are dominant places such groups at a disadvantage. For example, to succeed in education, it helps to be able to take a long-term view, working hard and postponing leisure, that is, to defer gratification. Children whose family background has socialized them into thinking and acting like this stands a better chance of success. Children from working class backgrounds are more likely to have been socialized into preferring immediate gratification, and adults less likely to have such attitudes. They can be said to be culturally deprived, as this can lead to underachievement at school and limitations of their prospects. So, for children, for cultural deprivation, it comes because you think of immediate gratification, which means we want things now. Whatever we do now, we want the return immediately. So, children of the ruling class, they can be patient enough because they understand what is coming up after. They know that as soon as they are done with education, the job is waiting for them. So they wouldn't prefer immediate gratification. Unlike the children of the working class, that they are not certain about they don't know what happens in the future. So whatever they have right now is important to them. They might leave school because they have a petty job to do. So the petty job will give them immediate gratification, which deprive them from the long-term way of life. School is a way of life, but because the working class child knows that the future he doesn't know what the future holds for him or her. He dropped out of school, start to find something he could do right now. As a result of that, he's been deprived the cultural existence of how things should work in society. So because he was unable to go to school, he have education or he's a dropout, then he could not make a sense out of the society. And because he cannot make a sense out of the society, then it becomes it becomes deviant to the society. Is it clear? And I think the last one is resistance. For resistance, it's associated with conflict views of society because it assumes a dominant group within society whose power can be resisted. For the neo-Marxists, they have suggested that Where relatively powerless groups lack an understanding of the capitalist system, but are aware and resentful of their disadvantaged position within it, they can respond with deviant behavior which expresses their anger. This cannot become a revolution that will bring down the ruling class and capitalism, and it's arguably a form of showing anger which can strengthen the system. This is used to explain the deviant behavior of youth subcultures. Young people are relatively free to resist. They are less likely to have a long-term financial commitment, families to support, or jobs they might lose. So they are relatively weak point where resistance to the dominant ideology can be expressed. Young people face problems they can temporarily solve through rejecting the dominant values of society, which may seem to have been rejected by the young people through their choice of style, appearance, and behavior. For neo-masses, they have studied various youth subcultures, such as mods and skinheads, and attempted to show that the deviant style and behavior are in fact forms of resistance. One criticism of this explanation is that it would probably not be accepted by the young people themselves. It assumes that the sociologist knows the underlying reasons for behavior that the people involved are unaware of. This is an over-deterministic view that undervalues the meanings that people attach to their actions. Resistance comes because we feel we are disadvantaged in the society. But these things are temporary because we don't have the capacity to act on this for a long time. So it cannot lead to revolution. It's just resistance. We're gonna deviate. We're gonna prove non-conformity by different attitude or different actions of ours. But we cannot change the system, because to change the system we need finance. We don't have finance. We don't have jobs. So the capitalists continue to rule. But the only thing they could do is to strengthen the system. So resistance would not change the system. It can only strengthen the system, because resistance can never lead to resolution. It is only revolution. It's only revolution that can change a system. So do you get my point here? So because they don't have the financial commitment, the only thing they could do is to act deviant. So when they act deviant, it passes a message. It's a signal to the capitalists that things are not fine, but it does not change anything, because the jobs they do is still from the capitalists. The family they are in, their father works for the capitalists. The school they go to is for the capitalists. So everything that surrounds them weakens them. So because of that weakness they have, it becomes difficult for them to revolutionize. Is it clear? So any question about resistance? So these are the reasons why people do deviance, or these are reasons why people are not conforming in the society. They are under socialized. They want to resist. The youth subculture, especially the working class subculture, and what else do we have? The cultural deprivation. So these are the reasons why we have non-conformity. Is it clear? Let's stop here.